Welcome, dear friends. Very warm welcome to this new series of the Creative Lab, experiencing the Egyptian mysteries. The overall theme of the series is a discovery of messages or information our past might have left for our present. So, in a way, the question is, what are the ancient Egyptian teachings that have value for the present world situation? The series consists of 3 or 4 online gatherings, which will lead to a physical journey that our group is preparing for March 2026. The series is different from what we did in the past. This time we will also, together as a group, reflect on the meaning of the restoration of the ancient mysteries. Also, the visualizations will be a little, somewhat less guided than previously, leaving things to everybody's own experience to the most. And before we get into it, I'll need to do my usual disclaimer. I am not an academic. What I'm sharing is my experience, my own research, and it's because I love Egypt, both past and present, that it all started with. And I believe that to know and experience Egypt is uplifting in many, many ways, more than one. And throughout the meeting, I will be also submitting some of my own theories or conclusions, including the possible connections with the ageless wisdom. So let's see what this new series is about. It's about Egypt. We know that Egypt was advanced and certainly not the most advanced civilization that's ever existed on Earth. Nevertheless, it has this very unique characteristic of having left the traces as big as a country and that we can actually walk in. The series is about also the restoration of ancient mysteries, and there are many mentions of those in the blue books, and let's just visit a couple of them. These ancient mysteries were originally given to humanity by the hierarchy and were in their turn received by the hierarchy from the Great White Lodge on Sirius. And there we have already a connection. Sirius is Isis. They contain the clue to the evolutionary process hidden in numbers and in words. They veil the secret of man's origin and destiny, picturing for him in rite and ritual the long, long path which he must tread. They provide also, when rightly interpreted and correctly presented, the teaching which humanity needs in order to progress from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real, and from death to immortality. Great. Promise. Now, DK is talking here about the Atlantean days, actually, and this is from the same page in Race in Initiation. So once the mysteries are restored, it will indicate a return to the situation which existed in Atlantean days, when God himself walked among men. Divinity was present in physical form because the members of the hierarchy were guiding and directing the affairs of humanity as far as innate free will permitted. So I'm not really saying that what we call today ancient Egypt accurately conveys the Atlantean teaching. We don't know, actually. But certainly clues and indications are present, and that's the invitation to walk the ancient sites, look at the clues, and bring into our awareness the information that we might need today. The teachings that were left from far, far age. So this is also about, this series is about our journey, which, so contrary to Egyptian path to initiation, that would start at the south of Egypt, and the initiates would follow the Nile through the temples and receive the teachings in all of them, and they would finish their initiatory path in Giza, in the Great Pyramid. We will do that. We will do the contrary path. We will start from the pyramid, and gradually, as we walk through Egypt, virtually or physically, we would ground the seeds that we have received in the pyramid. The assumption being that our knowledge that we have today is probably what was the goal for an Egyptian initiate at the time. So as such, our journey has twofold objective. The first one is to shed the light, to see with our present day minds and hearts, our knowledge, to see what the past has to tell us, interpret the symbols and information from our today's mindset and situation. All these messages are hidden in Egypt's history, temples, stories, archetypes, and they're still vibrating. And we have the privilege to actually walk in this living memory of teachings that come to us, they say, from Atlantis. And then what happens when the light we carry meets with the substance of a sacred space? I called it alchemy, and I believe that will happen and can happen in gatherings such as ours, meeting Egypt. And this brings us to our overall plans. So to speak, the meeting today is the first one in the series of 3 or 4 gatherings, which are leading to the physical journey in March 26. And as such, these online gatherings are an integral part of the entire journey. Our group's intention is to organize and facilitate this journey as an event to raise funds for our organization. And more will be said about that at the end of our gathering today. And so, the stages we will take, we will meet Thoth in 2 parts. And because Thoth is the great architect, the scientist, that's one of the names he was carrying, the great architect. He's a transmitter of knowledge, the teacher. And being who he is, it was required that to approach him through a process, which includes a preparatory stage, steps, and information. So we will do an alignment with the rising sun, such as embodied by the god Kepra, and I will talk about him very shortly. Then we will imagine being an initiate into the mysteries of the pyramid and seek guidance from the Sphinx. And then only we will be able to meet Thoth, which is why this is happening in 2 parts. There is much to be shared, although we are only actually scratching the very surface of everything. But we will do today we will meet with Kepera and the Sphinx, and then in 2 weeks' time or thereabout, we will actually meet Thoth, only then. After which, so the next journey online, we will be visiting the Karnak temple, which is actually a complex of temples as vast as anybody can imagine, primarily dedicated to sun god Ra. From where we will go to the Luxor temple, which is also called the Temple of Man, where pharaohs would go to rejuvenate their earthly bodies. Then we will enact what is called Opet Festival, which actually connects the two temples, the Karnak and Luxor. Each year, the statue of Ra would be brought from Karnak to the Luxor temple and there stay for 10 days, which was a week in Egyptian calendar. And we will kind of enact this festival. And then, well, travel in Egypt, the real thing, the once we get to there. So one disclaimer, another disclaimer I need to make about the plan for the online gatherings. They might change because I'm trying to condense lots of information and compensate for, physical presence. So as I work on those, sometimes they change themselves and they come as they want. So this might change. And so after this introduction, we will be aligning with Kepra. We will have a group conversation about does it mean, the restoration of the ancient mysteries. Then we'll do the visualization with the Sphinx. Again, we will open up for a group share and then we go to Egypt. Are there any questions that you might want to ask at this point? Okay, let's go. So we will start by talking about Kepra. Kepra is said to be the sun at dawn. As such, he is the pure potentiality of what is to come, of what is to manifest. In the Egyptian myths, the morning sun, so there are four forms actually of the sun in the myths. The morning sun was called Kepra. The midday sun was Ra. Excuse me. The afternoon or sunset was called Atum. And then when the sun disappears during the night, his name was Amun. So the sun at dawn, Kepra, was depicted as a beetle pushing the sun across the sky. So who is Kepra? Or rather, what Kepra is symbolizing? Where does the force that keeps turning our planet come from? Recently, I have discovered that the sacred scarab was the symbol used to represent the sign of Cancer. And now, are you seeing my cursor when I move it around? Yeah?
Yes, we can see it.
So here it is. So there is Leo, Cancer, Gemini, there is Taurus, Aries, and so on. And so here is the little scarab or crab, which sign, as we know in blue books, is given as the sign where the incarnation starts for all human souls. And so, quoting from esoteric astrology, all souls as individual entities come into human incarnation for the first time in the sign of Cancer. which I find interesting connection with little Kepera, who is potentiality, right, in its pure form. So his image was carved, we are told, by Normandy Ellis in her book Hieroglyphic Power of Words of Power. So the image of Kepera was carved both inside and outside of the temples. And this carving signified that not only there is a living deity inhabiting the temple, but the temple itself was a living entity. The image you are seeing is a sculpture that is in the Temple of Karnak today. And if, even today, I want to say, people come to Karnak, to this statue, to make their wishes come true. So the process is one comes in front of the statue, you make a wish, you don't speak, obviously, and then we need to turn 7 times around the statue, and if we don't speak all these 7 times, the wish comes true. And so while I was looking at researching the Karnak temple, I found a couple of proverbs that we are told are carved on the walls of this temple. And one of those is this one that says, growth in consciousness does not depend on the will of the intellect or its possibilities, but on the intensity of the inner urge. And indeed, what an inner urge this little creature has. When we look to nature, a scarab is a creature that lays its eggs into a pile of dung. Then he creates a ball which he relentlessly pushes around and keeps safe. Inside the ball, the little eggs are actually nourished by the substance of the ball itself, which I guess rings a bell at a ball that nourishes its inhabitants. And when the scarab decides that it is safe, he lets the little baby scarabs crawl their way out of the and out into the surface and fly off. Which brings to mind yet another proverb from the walls of the Karnak temple that says the best and shortest road towards knowledge of truth is nature. And this is a quote from the book called The Book of Knowing the Creation of Ra. And this poetic chant is attributed to Kepra, who says, in the beginning, I became the becoming, being what I created. Kepra is also said to be a protector. Amulets in the form of Kepra were placed on hearts, under pillows, and one of the most common souvenirs one can get in Egypt today is one of those little scarabs. From a shamanic perspective, Kepera is said to be shielding humanity from a too direct exposure to cosmic rays. And it is known to be a nocturnal creature, right? Even in nature, where it seems that the scarab orients itself by the light of the moon and the stars. And in the mythos, Egyptian mythos, where he is the one pushing the sun over the horizon, maybe the protection actually speaks about humanity's passage through the darkness of ignorance while we are being protected by such a being that shields us from an exposure too direct to cosmic influence. And this is it about Kepera, with whom we will be now aligning and kindly asking for his protection. Sorry, okay, having difficulties with all these screens, everything. Sorry. Okay, let's close our eyes. Set in comfortably. Give attention to our breathing for a couple of breaths. And align as we usually do, vertically and horizontally. And remember that spark of your heart mind in your center that you inhabit and that it habits you is at the intersection of the energies that we call matter and spirit, past and future. And all our relations. And as such, see yourself standing within a circle of people, extending both to your right and to your left. A large circle composed of your co-workers, friends, family, teachers, pupils, incarnate, and from the other side. As you connect with them, you realize there are two more concentric circles of people spreading both sides from you. All of you connected, interdependent through interplay and interconnection. Now, these three circles are actually arcs that spread from you in a circular manner, but leaving an opening at the end. As you advance towards the center of the geometry, you realize that the arcs are actually the wings. And there are three more inner circles in the center, composed of our teachers. Some of them incarnate, some of them communicating from the subjective planes. And in their center, a radius, luminous form representing the teacher of teachers. The geometry can be now recognized as a three-winged capra. You are in its heart. And the concentric circles of your brothers and sisters are actually multicolored wings. Realize that we who are doing the visualization are surrounding and looking at the same center. Each one of us observing and experiencing from a different angle and through different lenses. Take some time to observe and acknowledge the presence. The presence of the members of the team. One team. Busy pushing the sun over the horizon. When you feel like it, slowly open your eyes and come back to our gathering, which we will continue by a group reflection. So we have around 10 minutes, maybe 15, to engage in a conversation. Maybe I'll stop sharing the screen so that we can see each other while we converse. Would anybody have anything to offer as to the question? Go ahead, Marta.
Daniela, it was a wonderful, wonderful visualization and meditation. For me, the big takeaway is the return to nature. It isn't what we Westerners think it is. It's truly the light of love and power of the whole. And so it's always good to be reminded. And I happen to be very aware that the direction we're taking is toward the one world religion. It was the first messenger of compassion. Thank you.
You.
Hi, Daniela. Yeah, thank you for a wonderful presentation and visualization. So to answer your question, so from my perspective, if you look at like the hierarchies writings across many books and traditions, they all discuss like a golden age and a return to this golden age. And I think that's where this restoration comes from, is you have this like so this beautiful structure that's fallen into disrepair just through time and neglect. And somebody who knows how to do it or a group of people painstakingly restores this structure over time. And I think that's what the mysteries are. They're rediscovering the keys to rebuilding the structure through humanity, basically. And it's returning to that golden age. So if you look at gold and alchemy, gold is, they say it's, some say it's like God transmuting lead to gold, right? God minus the L is gold. And if you look at the sun, the circumpunct symbolism and all that, it's the imperishable metal that, any other metal you could transmute to anything else, but metal's imperishable. And I think that's the key to the mysteries too. It's just returning back to the imperishable nature of man and nature and society, and just that's not subject to decay or any of these negative influences, so to speak. And I think that's the mysteries hold the key to that unlocking of that inner being, whether it's return to spirit or the I am presence, or the monad, so to speak, depending on what tradition you're speaking in. I think just the mysteries it's symbolic in a way, in that you rebuild the temple. You said the temple was living. If you rebuild that, the inner work happens at the same time, basically, just like in alchemy. When you do the work in the lab in alchemy, the consciousness of the alchemist is what drives the success of the experiments, not the lab. The two work kind of in concert. I think it's like prayer and God, right? If you look at it in that sense, you're praying spirit, whatever your background is. It's a bi-directional communication. And I think it's the same with laboratory alchemy and the mysteries in general. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the most beautiful moment was at the end, the realization of the work of the new group of world servers as being to push the sun.
Yes. Quite a job, right?
Mute. I unmuted you.
Oh, you did? Okay, thanks. Pondering the mysteries and the rays and cycles. Pondering the mysteries and the rays and cycles, and how they seem I don't know where to go with this, but I'll just leave it with that.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
I had an interesting realization. First of all, when we were visualizing the circle in all our dearest ones, I suddenly felt the presence of those on the other side whom I don't know in this lifetime. And it was very unexpected. And like even tears started coming. And the recognition, like in response to the question that you posed, recognition was that when we start seeing the geometry and principles working through us, through our circles, through our efforts to push the sun, that's the restoration of mysteries. It's making the principles visible and living again.
Claudio, I think you can unmute yourself. Yes, please do.
Hi, Daniela. Thank you very much. I just want to talk about the energy which brought us here, and all the signs that I got from Mother Nature that I need to be here. And so this is beautiful. The wisdom you're sharing is absolutely like spot on. It's absolutely beautiful. And this law of attraction of the truth always brings people together, which is part and parcel what's on the Egyptian walls. It's a cycle. It's beautiful. So I just want to thank you, and I look forward to hearing more and being part of this great group. So thank you very much.
Thank you for joining.
Hello, everyone. Daniela, I would just I knew exactly where I fell into place on the wing. I knew exactly where to fall, where I was looking from.
Whoa.
I knew my perspective on. It was nice that wings move. So there was the perspective on the scarab was not completely, it had a variety, it could vary. So I would just share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, we will talk about Sphinx after our conversation, of course. Yes. Anybody else would like to suggest what it means to restore the ancient mysteries?
I just could share, I think for me, restoring the ancient mysteries is actually realizing or participating on the sunrise, where you somehow realize that, let's say what you've written there in your part, it starts. I just remember the moment that when I just got some, let's say, the advice to try to attend sunrise, and it's true that I think for me it was the most important change in the relation to the mysteries, or let's say to tradition and cycles. And so thank you very much, Daniela, for bringing it there. It gives a new perspective to to this long-term experience. Thank you.
So I could join a little thing. Once I was working with a shaman from Latin America, and he said, "How can you get depressive when you are responsible for the sunrise?"
Very good.
And for me, this restoration means really, this was all mentioned in this beautiful quote you brought in the beginning. And it's really remember who we are and why we are sent here and what is our real compito homework or earthwork or life work, whatever. So thank you very much. I'm very looking forward when you will go on.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's very beautiful work.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Daniela. Friend. To me, the restoration of the mysteries is to light the principles that started civilizations in the past, which are exactly the mysteries, in group. So, and not as an individual as it was in the past, as an individual passing through the initiations in the pyramid or other chambers of transformation and transmutation. But actually, this form, this Ka, as the Egyptian call it, and starting from Keter is perfect, from Cancer, because it's like a group is a new form for the restoration of the mysteries to experience and in living the ancient or infinite principles that are in nature and cause evolution. So thank you to give us the opportunity to be part of this form, of this group form, to light the light again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Daniela. The restoration of the mysteries is a tall order, and to understand what it means, what are the mysteries, and what is to be restored, what is to be invented again, what of the past we will draw into our presence again, and on which we will build the new mysteries, maybe, or the the mysteries in a new form. The sun that has been pushed over the horizon back then is the same sun, but we are in a different astrological sign. So
Yes, yes.
bringing in the horizon has changed.
Yes.
So let's see. And what you are bringing, the atmosphere that you are bringing here, the field that you're opening for us has this magic that is kind of opening a way, a path for this past magic, this past mystery to be felt now. And then we can see what resonates and what are we, maybe we have been in Egypt, maybe together even,
I
maybe not.
suspect so.
And what is it that resonates today with us, and what can we take? And thank you for holding the field, for making this connection, for this transfer. Needs to
Yeah.
happen.
The door opening the door, or at least pointing to the door. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like also to share a very simple experience, really simple. And this is the magic of it. The miracle that repeats itself every day.
Mm.
And from there I exist, and I become.
Yes.
And to be connected with this simplicity is being connected with, for me, with the very beginning and the very core of what we are, who we are as beings. Thank you. It's really magic.
Thank you. Thank you for your share. Okay, I will continue. We will continue now with our journey. I will speak about Sphinx, and then we'll have more time to share at the end. So let me share my screen. Okay. Sorry, just a minute.
While you, Daniela, looking for the right screen, I will read what Claudio wrote in the chat. It's very synchronistic that pushing the sun over the horizon is symbolic of the equinox, sun moving across into the underworld for those of us in the northern hemisphere. As we just celebrated the tropical equinox on September 22nd, and the precession of the equinox sun pushed over horizon, speaker happens on October 17th.
Thank you. The Sphinx, the Great Sphinx at the Giza Plateau, measures 73 meters long and 20 meters high, which in feet gives 250 by 66. And the Sphinx is, as quoting from the Encyclopedia Britannica, they say Sphinx is a mythological creature with a lion's body and a human head. In Mesopotamia, we are told the Sphinx has wings, and later in ancient Greece, the creature was said to terrorize people by asking impossible riddles. In all cases, the Sphinx is regarded as a guardian. In ancient Egyptian language, the Sphinx was called Shep's Ankh, which would mean living image or living statue. Later, it arrived to Sephankes, and from there into what we hear today as Sphinx. Now, ancient Egyptians placed statues of sphinxes in front of temple entrances, and sometimes the head of the sphinxes were shaped in those of pharaohs to resemble a pharaoh. This one is such a statue representing the pharaoh Hatshepsut, who was actually a woman and wore a false beard to satisfy the critiques. So she inherited the throne when her father died, and as his oldest son, her brother was too small, basically a child, to reign. She stepped on the throne against all advices. Advices that were, of course, based on the fact that only a male can be a pharaoh. And so she found a shortcut, created a false beard, and proclaimed herself a pharaoh. And here is another statue of Hatshepsut, and I'm putting it here because it's interesting to see that in this statue, only the face is actually human, not the head. So the rest of the head with lion's mane and the ears and everything is actually an animal. Rows of sphinxes were edging this alley that connects the temples of Karnak and Luxor. And it is known as Alley or the Avenue of the Sphinxes, and it was restored in 2021. So the nearly 3 kilometers or nearly 2 miles that connect these two temples are again edged by so many sphinxes, and we can actually walk there, really walk between the two temples. And here too, we have an example of a king being portrayed as a sphinx. It shows the King Akhenaten, which is another one of those interesting stories. So he was called Amenhotep IV. And at the moment he decided that there is only one God, he changed his name in Akhenaten because the god's name, the god's name was Aten or Aton sometimes. So he changed his name to demonstrate his dedication to this one all-pervading deity. Now, this king is regarded by historians as one of the first to have established a monotheistic religion. At the time, he closed the majority of other temples, constructed an entire city dedicated only to one god. And he also forbid creation of images that represent any deity, except this circle or orb of light that reaches its hand to the earth, which also makes it interesting that he represented himself as the Sphinx, which would maybe mean that the Sphinx was not regarded as a deity or anything like that, but considered to be something else. Now, more interestingly, I would say also scholars say that such images, as the one that I'm showing, where Akhenaten is and some symbols around him, they say that the artist would put like what we would call today a footnote to say basically, this is only an image. Do not confuse the image with the thing itself, which is a great teaching on its own, I would say. And to be fair, Egyptian spiritual philosophy never denied the existence of the one not knowable God who manifests through many different specific deities. Nevertheless, the imminence was preferred by the priests, so when Akhenaten died, they closed his temples and reopened all the others. And that brings us to the mystery of the Sphinx of Giza, the original one. Many questions are there, right? When was it constructed? What for? Was there another Sphinx? What does it guard? So the traditional Egyptology says that Sphinx must have been constructed somewhere around 3,500 years ago. But then come in some geologists, and namely Professor Robert Schoch, who claims that the weather mark that we see on its body and in the bedrock surrounding it cannot be made otherwise but by a large quantity of falling water through millennia. And this observation is based on these watermarks. And if this is the case, if this would be the case, right, that the bedrock was damaged by the falling water, the Sphinx must be much, much, much older, because the desert around it, so the Sahara Desert, dried some 5 to 7,000 years ago. It dried at that moment. So as from that point until now, there is not enough water to be able to change the bedrock. And some not so traditional Egyptologists, like John Anthony West, who throughout his work reads ancient Egypt from another more esoteric perspective, he points out that the Sphinx is aligned. So the Sphinx looks at the constellation of Leo rising in the morning of the summer solstice. Sphinx being half Leo, this alignment seems very purposeful. And the last time the Sphinx would have been aligned to the same constellation was some 10,570 BC, years BC, which points to the age of Leo, and maybe even to the transition between Virgo and Leo, but that's, I cannot say. So the date is, of course, also interesting in connection to last Earth changes that marked the end of the Atlantean civilization. And also to what we are told in the Blue Books about the Sphinx representing the perfect man, the head of the man and the body of animal. And I must say that this date, so the 10,570 years BC, is also part of inspiration for the overall topic to our journeys. Where presumably Egypt is a civilization that is guarding for us the knowledge coming from Atlantis, presumably from the age of Leo. And I would also presume that many of us living today actually have lived through that age, or even the transition between the ages. And we might have left some messages or information or insights for our future selves, for our future needs, right? What did we learn during the last transition that we could use today? And we know that pushing the sign over the horizon requires skill and knowledge. And there is also something else that caught my attention. The keynote for each zodiacal sign, such as given by Blue Books, right? They all are a collection of statements that begins with I. And that I connect to Leo, basically, the sign of Leo or the energies of Leo. Now, back to Giza Plateau. This drawing shows the Giza Plateau as it would have looked in 1665. Now, it doesn't look like this anymore, or never did. But it's interesting to note that there are two sphinxes, actually. So there is the one that we know that is turning to the east, and then there is this other structure that looks something like the Sphinx or something similar. Now, just interestingly, this author, the author of this book, who wrote many books about far regions, never actually traveled. All his books and drawings are based on the stories brought to him by Jesuits, missionaries, and Dutch explorers. So, independently from debates, I would say the Sphinx we know today is from a very, very old age, connected to the cycle of Leo, as we know, in the morning of the sunrise on the summer solstice, and it's left as a signpost. For some reason, important for us to find this day. Now, there is this stela in front of it that we see, and it was created by the pharaoh Thutmose IV in 1401 BC. The stela tells the story of a young prince, Thutmose, who, after spending a day hunting and shooting with his militias, fell asleep next to the Sphinx. And during his sleeps, the Sphinx spoke to him and asked him to please stop using its head as a shooting target and please unbury the entire Sphinx.
Sphinx gewesen vorher.
And if the promise was, if the prince obeyed, he would become most respected king, which he did, and erected, or unburied the Sphinx, erected the stela. And more importantly, especially for our journey that will follow this presentation, beneath the Sphinx lies the entrance to the Hall of Records. Now, there really are several passageways into the Sphinx known today. They were not yet explored, or the exploration, they didn't share publicly what they found. Esoteric workers of different traditions, such as Nikki Scully, report having sensed or otherwise concluded based on their own research that a library containing vast amount of information is indeed accessible through the Sphinx. Now, the Egyptian archaeological authorities deny, at first they denied there are any passageways, but some modern means of measurement detected cavities and entrances, out of which there is one that interests us, which is just between its paws, at the level of the chest of the Sphinx. Now, the diagram we are seeing is based on Edgar Cayce's dream state transmission, to which he reportedly also said that the passage will not be opened until the selfish motivations of the world were broken. Which brings me to yet another quote from Racing Initiation, which speaks to exactly that statement. The mysteries are in reality the true source of revelation, and it can be only when the mind and the will to good are closely blended and conditioning human behavior that the extent of the coming revelation will be grasped, for only then can humanity be trusted with these secrets. So some say the library contains knowledge from the Atlantean civilization, and some even talk about Akashic records. May as it be, this is where we will be going in our next step in the journey. We will imagine being an initiate into the mysteries at the point of being invited to consult the sacred library beneath the Sphinx. Now, to properly prepare for this journey, we will need questions. You don't enter a library, this vast library, without a question or questions. So I will put a little piece of music for a minute or two, and we invite everybody to formulate the question with which we will enter the library. Okay. Hope you have your questions. So let's close our eyes, realign vertically, horizontally with each other, remembering that we are in the geometry of Kepra, and we find ourselves standing in front of a temple on the Giza Plateau. Remember where it all started, your teacher and friend said, as he encourages you onto the path. You are somewhat puzzled, but there is no time to lose. You refrain from commenting as you ready yourself. It is your turn today. You are charged with a mission. You are to enter the sacred library. And to do so, you need to convince the guardian to let you in. The night sky is beginning to pale, and it is time to get going. You step on the path that leads to the foot of the Sphinx, the great guardian. The path is straight. You let your feet carry you. You walk and take in your surroundings. The pre-dawn sky, some of the stars still bright. the pleasant freshness in the air, nature's joy in its anticipation of the rising light. It all contributes to your centeredness and alignment. As you walk, the first rays now shine on the Sphinx's head, and your senses are uplifted by the perfect timing. You find yourself between its paws just when the light reaches your crown. As the sunbeams slowly illuminate and warm your back, top to bottom, you find yourself in a bubble out of space and time. There is only the sun, the Sphinx, and you between them. Think about your quest. Are you looking for answers? Do you have a question, or are you looking for one? The growing light projects your shadow onto the Sphinx's stone body, just where the lion's heart is located, opening a passage. You step in. And there is an opening in the ground inside. Stairs leading downward. Slowly you step by step downwards. And as you reach the bottom of the stairs, you enter a vast circular chamber. The library seems infinite. Rows and rows of shelves containing numerous scrolls. What to look at, which way to go. The scrolls contain information about everything and anything. Every scroll you open tells a part of the story, and one could get lost in this infinite source of infinite information, unless one enters the sacred library with a purpose and intent. Remember yours while you walk the library, and you will be guided. Go around, open the scrolls, look at what they have to tell you. I will leave you to it for about 2 or 3 minutes. As your time in the sacred library is nearing its end for now, a little scarab flies towards you and hovers just in front. The movement of its multicolored wings attracts your attention, and as he turns around and flies away, you follow. Together you pass by many scrolls that you would like to consult, and you may do so another time. But for now, trust that the information you were given is what you need for this very moment. So you follow the little scarab until you find yourself in front of a luminous gate. And this is where we will be stopping for today. So slowly come back, maybe wiggle your toes or stretch or anything like that. Come back to our gathering. I will be putting a piece of music for 2 or 3 minutes for us to come back slowly, and also it would be an occasion if you want to write down any impression that you would want to remember. That's it. And we will shortly speak about our physical journey. But before that, if you would like to share anything about the super important information you received in the library, please do.
Danielle, maybe we can stop sharing the screen.
Oh, yes, yes, good idea. Can you also unpin me so I can see everybody else? Merci.
I didn't get some information, I'm afraid, but perhaps it comes later. But I just wanted to say that the secret doctrine from Blavatsky, she tells about Egypt multiple times. I don't know if you read it, but she's said a very long time. I don't really recall if it is 40,000 years ago, that it's a very large number, at least, that the pyramids and the Sphinx was built. And she based it on the zodiac. They have built in the ceiling at the observatory. I don't recall the name now, but there you can see that they have been in Virgo 3 times. They have been round the zodiac at least 3 times. So that's is suggestive of this high number of years it has been there. So that means that it before Atlantis, and some masters came before the refugees from Atlantis came to build the pyramids. So it's very interesting to read. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, me too. I recall probably around 70,000 because of these 3 precessional cycles as carved in the Dendera zodiac.
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes more ancient than human archaeology things. Yeah. Well, I had a question and for the library, and it was very similar or very aligned with the current Libra sign. So my question or purpose was how to discern when a thought is coming from the soul or from below. So when it's true and not true.
Okay.
And the answer, the scroll, was saying smile.
Okay.
Doesn't matter because when you smile, when inside you there is this heart and smile, you know when
it's true.
the answer is true or not.
Oh, beautiful.
It was very luminous answer.
Okay.
So thank you. Thank you for.
Antonella, you got me started, because when I went into the library, my question turned out to be guide me to the path to divinity. And what I heard was go to 6. And so I just looked it up in Raise and Initiation, this page 79. What 6 can refer to is Shambhala.
Oh,
And so it was a specific, and we put Antonella's insight, how to discern, and the earlier speakers on 3, the number 3, there is a geometry in this,
true.
which is not about how my question sounded. Thank you.
I'll say something too.
Thank you.
I've been trying to understand and standing under co-measurement for a long time. So my question was, what does co-measurement, how does co-measurement relate or play into the restoration of the mysteries? And the answer that I read was, or heard, was as above, so below. And telepathy is certainly alive and well, because discrimination kept coming in as well.
Yes.
And yeah.
That's great.
We were in the library together, right? No. Yes.
I want to share about a very strong sensation I had going down to in between the legs of the Sphinx, and my question was, you spoke about the Akashic records might be there in the library. Is the Earth custodian of the mysteries, or it's the time? Because when I think or intuit the energy of the Akashic records, they are in the cloud, maybe up there of knowable things, and here it's the underground of knowable things.
Yes.
So it was not a question. I mean, I questioned myself. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We will talk about this next time, but Thoth is said to have built the Sphinx, and in it he concealed the entrance to what he, as a refugee from Atlantis, brought as knowledge to Egypt. But we'll talk about this more next time. Yeah.
Wow.
Claudio, go ahead.
My question was, what if there is something metaphysical about the location of the Sphinx? Because a lot of times, but you said it perfectly. You said it that, you walk in there and there's a whole bunch of scrolls with a whole bunch of information. Are we looking for the material reason, or are we looking for the metaphysical reason? So the answer that I got was that the longitude line is the secret that's underneath the Sphinx.
Okay.
It's facing the east for when an event happens called a phoenix rising. So a phoenix rising happens every 558 years, which is Revelation 12:1 in the Bible, the mother clothed with the sun with the moon at her feet. So the north and south node are the moon in that statement. So every 558 years, or 30 Saros cycles, the mother rises with the sun in the east, and the location that witnesses that event, we leave a marker.
Okay.
So when you go through and see that event, which you can with through an astrological chart, when you use what's on the Egyptian walls as their settings, right? You now see that we've placed a marker every 558 years. So now you get to see where the ages are. So in 349 AD, it aligns perfectly with the Sphinx, because 2023, April 15th, 2023 was a Phoenix rising. So when you go back 558 years, you go look to see the event, the Sphinx is facing that event, but it's not there. Where that alignment was a cross in Aquarius. So they've got half man, half lion. So they're telling you that Phoenix rising, we couldn't put a marker. We had to put it on the land across 180 degrees. So when you start looking at all the calendars we left behind on the tombs, they actually point to the Phoenix risings, 77W. So I can get into this more sometime if I ever wanted to, but it's more, it's just a marker of where we're at on our journey in the clock.
Thank you. An example of what we left as messages for our present selves, right? But that's how
Exactly.
I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Speaking about Blavatsky and the underground caves, she did say that the wisdom was hidden in the underground caves.
Okay. Maybe worth another visit, right?
Yes. But the underground caves are the caves of the heart, so the wisdom is hidden in the heart.
Yes. Thank you. So
I wanted both to thank you, Daniela, but to thank Antonella for the image of the smile, or that's the truth. And when Alice said that she smiled, laughed when she saw the scarab pushing the sun up over the horizon, I had my eyes closed and I opened them to that little scarab putting it up, and I burst out laughing. And I said, that's it. That's it. So thank you. Wonderful image.
If I could just share, because I wanted to say, there's a spider that made a web, which wasn't here earlier for this meeting. And it's sitting head down with its legs all up, exactly like the scarab, and its wings, like it's right there right now. It's wild. So Mother Nature's always talking to us, right? Saying, and that's where all the wisdom is in me, right? In Mother Nature. So awesome. What a beautiful meeting. Thank you so much.
You also have a spider in front of it.
Really? Oh, that's so nice.
As you say, with the legs up.
Magic, yes. So we are nearing the end of our gathering. We are a little bit over already. Unless there is anybody else who would like to share, I will talk just a little bit about our upcoming journey in Egypt. Physical journey. So let me share my screen, reshare my screen quickly. So our plan is to go there and be there for the March equinox in 2026, celebrating this together, gathering in a sacred land. Our plan is to do it between 16 and 28 March, which would put us somewhere on the Nile, on the equinox itself. And there is a list of, basically we will go from north, so from Cairo to Luxor, where we plan to onboard a dahabeah, a sailboat, go to Aswan with the boat, come back to Luxor by foot, I was going to say, but it's not, I mean, by road. And of course, we will visit all the temples on the way. So Karnak Temple, Edfu, so the Horus Temple, Komombo, Isis Temple, Khnum, Luxor Temple, Dantara, Hathor's Temple, and in Abydos, the Osiris Temple. And so if we prepared like a form that we will send to everybody just to see if you would be interested to join such a journey. We don't have yet enough information to be able to tell you about the financials because that greatly depends on how many people are going. Know that it's not the usual price that such travels do price. We are trying to keep it at as low as possible. Knowing, as I said in the beginning, it's what we are planning to take this occasion to raise funds for our group. Voilà. Any questions? Or anything else, by the way?
Daniela, will we share the link to this
Yes.
questionnaire now?
Yeah, let me find it. Bear with me.
And we understand that the situation might change till March next year. So now we're just asking if your inspirational answer, if you would be interested to go. Reality, of course, will depend on many other factors. But if you are interested, please let us know and we will take it from there, start planning actual logistics of the journey together.
There it is.
Will you promise, Sasha, that the situation will change?
That's the only thing that we can rely on, the constant change.
Independent from our physical journey, we will be continue on online gatherings. So next one will be in around 2 weeks, right?
Mhm.
And then every, I don't know, month and a half, something like that, for 4 times before March next year. So, voilà. The plan is there. I thank you very much for being here. I hope your journey is beneficial and uplifting and makes you good. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Daniela.
Thank
Oh,
you so
music for
much.
the
It's
end.
wonderful.
We cannot hear you, Daniela, now.
No.
Oh, now here, yes. And no music yet.
Okay. Do you hear it?
Yes.
Yes. There will be some dancing, I don't know. Thank you, dear friend. See you in 2 weeks, hopefully. Bye.